Hey guys, so the melee build is finally sort of complete. It could still use one more level to equal out the resistances, but I wanted to make an earthquake build and, well, I did. It does alright. It's still melee, so naturally it's a little bit slower than, some Giga Blaster, Archmage, Spark build. But if you wanna play melee for whatever reason, this is a pretty decent option. And you have your Earthquake, your Hammer of the Gods, of course, and Seismic Cry, Leap Slam naturally, and Bone Shatter. So, there's a couple of buttons to press, but you don't have to press them often. Most of the time, it's Leap Slam into Earthquake, and generally you're good. But, Bone Shatter is very satisfying, so I really like using it. So, I'll show you guys how it looks. Now, we do have a bunch of armor, which hopefully with the next patch it gets a little bit better. But honestly, it's not even the armor that's the problem. Generally, it's mods that add extra damage. Like, monsters deal 37 as extra lightning. It's these mods that generally tend to hurt more because of the way that, calculations work. So, hopefully they either change that or I don't know, just make the mobs hit a little bit weaker. But I'll show you guys how it looks. So sadly it's Val Factor, but I wanted to show you Breach and boss, so we're just gonna have to go through this one. Leap Slam is pretty nice because you can get to higher ground, you don't need to walk around. And Earthquake has a pretty big AoE, so in most scenarios you can just kind of think of it as like a safe ground. You walk, you use Earthquake, and it's kind of your safe zone, right? Bone Shatter is very nice. Now, I don't know what happened there, I got pushed, but, that's just how the game works, I guess. Oh, got stuck. So the ranged mobs can hurt if there's a bunch of ranged mobs, even the weak little spider-looking things. If they all shoot at you like this all at once, it hurts a lot. So be careful. Be careful about ranged mobs. That's kind of why I want the defenses to be a little bit better than what they are right now, or maybe a bigger life pool. But it's a little bit hard to get more life. But overall the build's okay. It's a little bit slow because it's melee, but it's fun to try out different things. You can also preset the earthquakes. And once the boss is within stun range, use Bone Shatter, use Seismic Cry, and well, I mean, this boss is without the boss difficulty, but as soon as you stun the boss, it's very likely to, either be dead or just take a lot of damage. So I'll try to show you guys Breach and then I'll port out to the map. But the more life the enemy has, the worse it feels, because we are a stun focused build. So mobs that have more life have higher stun thresholds, and so then since we have a lot of bonuses that come into play when the enemy is stunned. I think I have like 100 or something bonus damage, well, not bonus, increased damage against stun targets or immobilized targets. So once those come into play, why are they so hard to stun? Stun threshold. Okay, so generally, this map has stun threshold, sadly, but with the current gear that I have, and really depends on your damage. Generally, Leap Slam just stuns them already, and the initial hit from Earthquake is usually enough to put white mobs into the Bone Shatter range. And Bone Shatter feels very satisfying, especially in Breach. So, it's a little bit nicer in maps that don't have stun threshold or extra life. But even then, you can just Leap Slam, Earthquake, and we have a bunch of Leech, so we can fairly safely just tank a bunch of hits. Not a lot, right? But next patch, once the armor is better, it's probably gonna feel even better. But as it is right now, the defenses could still be better. So yeah, this is kind of how it plays. Sadly, sadly this map is a little bit bad for Breach, so it'll have to do. But let's go over the build and see what we have and how it works. Let's go over the skill gems first. So I have Mace Strike in here, and really in here you can have whatever you want. I do advise getting Rupture, because our Hammer of the God bleeds, so you just have to, of course, not forget to hit. You just need to hit once and you aggravate the bleeding. So, you know, you use that, and then you hit once. So this is the only kind of mandatory support gem that I would have in the Mace Strike. Other than that, I have Rage on hit, but not really needed. More build up not needed, and more stun threshold also not needed. I just had it laying around, so I socketed it. Berserk is really nice because we are making use of range, and 54% increased rage effect. It's real good. And oh, I didn't even have it completely qualified. And I have cannibalism in here. I have overwhelming presence, so they are stunned easier. I also forgot to quality this one up as well. Vitality and herbalism. For this you do need 10 spirit, but you know, just get any solar amulet and you're gonna be good. So Earthquake is the only 6-link. Of course you can always 6-link Hammer of the Gods. Bone Shatter I wouldn't really 6-link, no real need. Less skill effect duration, so they pop faster. Heavy Swing, Brutality, Tremors, and Aftershock. So Tremors is technically more DPS over longer periods of time, but if you don't want to do any bosses, you can probably remove it and use, where is it? This one. Use Heft instead. It's up to you really. It is a little bit more RNG, but it's very satisfying when those earthquakes start popping. Hammer of the Gods with Lacerate, so of course it is 50% chance, but we do have Seismic Cry, which makes it have an additional Aftershock guaranteed. And then there's also like 20 or something percent chance that there's going to be another Aftershock. Yeah, 20% chance. I think there should be more. Anyway, from Descendants. But yeah, this is Lacerate in here, Ingenuity, so it's cooldown recovery rate. You can use the one that gives you 2 cooldowns, but against, like I tried xest tier 3. I couldn't do it, it was skill issue, but overall it wasn't that bad. It's just the fight was really long. But I would use Ingenuity instead of the 2 uses, because you're not gonna insta-kill, at least with the current setup that I have, you're not gonna be insta-killing xest with just, you know, 2 Hammer of the Gods. So just use Ingenuity and, you know, use it every once in a while to build up the stun bar faster. Conduction in here for more chance to shock, and Lightning Infusion. So this pretty much guarantees a shock, because Hammer of the Gods deals an insane amount of damage. So, you know, I currently have like 26% or something shock. So 26% more damage, pretty good. Bone Shatter, Impact Shockwave, of course, is the best support for Bone Shatter. Devastate, this is key against bosses. In maps it doesn't really do that much, but against rares it can still help. But Devastate is really good, but you kind of have to make sure that you are stunning bosses with Bone Shatter, because sometimes your Earthquake stuns and you don't break their armor. So make sure that, you know, you stun with Bone Shatter. Martial Tempo, so it's faster, and Heft for a little bit more damage. Not mandatory to be honest, but just, you know, for mapping. Seismic Cry with Enraged Warcry, so we get more damage on our Hammer of the Gods, and Raging Cry, just in case we're not, you know, on full rage. We generate rage and we can consume. Perfect Strike, so it's not mandatory. I still sometimes use it against higher tier bosses, but honestly wouldn't really count on it. But if you want, you know, just focus on Ignite like this. And Lip Slam, ancestrally boosted, Fist of War. It just makes it so that we have two, one from our passive and one from the Spore Gem ancestral boosts. And Overpower, so we just stun mobs faster, and you know, if they're stunned, they handle damage, so it's nice. And Magnified Effect, so it's bigger AoE. Now for the items. So I do recommend Blackheart, because Intimidate in Path of Exile 2, as you can see, makes them deal less damage, which is awesome. And of course, it still has the increased damage, so I would keep this. It helps against bosses a lot. Other than that, you know, this does not, like the other sets do nothing, but look for a corruption with something that you need. Chaos Resistance is very nice. 15 Chaos Res, you can get this ring for 5 or 10 exalts. It's really good. For the amulet, so just get a solar amulet so you can fit in all the sport gems for auras. Not mandatory, but I do recommend it. You can always just drop one if you don't wanna. I don't know, maybe you want more strength for life or something. Other than that, just life and increased armor if you can, and then resistances to kind of cap yourself right. So for helmet, try focusing on armor. Whatever else is in there is, you know, secondary sort of, but you still want your resistances, of course. Life and armor is kind of what you should prioritize. Body armor, same story. You prioritize armor. This body is pretty old, but I looked on the market and 2,500 armors go for like a couple divines already. So I just kept it. Obviously, you know, this can be better, so. I have Breach Ring with Leech. I do recommend getting Leech. Leech is nice, actually. It's not as bad as people make it out to be. Against bosses, it does feel a little bit worse, but for mapping, it's great. And I also have Mana Leech on my weapon. So mana isn't really an issue, but you can get Mana Leech on a Breach Ring as well, or gloves even if you can fit it in. On gloves, do prioritize attack speed and life. Resistances again, just balance it out. Now, as you can see, I do have maximum cold res in here, and on boots I have maximum lightning res. So I do recommend getting some max res, because in maps where there's as extra damage modifiers, they really hurt. So that's why I opted into going for a little bit more max resistances. Belt is, you know, whatever. I have an armor belt. If you can, get it. If you can't, it's not a big deal. It's just 200 armor. I mean, it can go up to like 300, but, you know, it's like whatever. And for the passive tree, now I do have this. I mean, obviously this is really good. If you want more defenses, you could probably go for armor and life. It's not a bad idea. This is more damage though and more AoE, so you know, if after the patch everything feels much better, then I would keep it at that. If after the patch the mobs still hurt as they do right now, so I would probably switch to these, but you know, you do lose out on a lot of damage. So, you know, it's up to you. And of course, Ancestral Earthbreaker, Aftershocks, right? And Ancestral Empowerment. And also, for some reason, this one is not shown. And I also have 12 in here, so either it's bugged or it's just not shown, but I think it's just not shown, because here it says 20% Aftershock chance, but obviously I have more than that. So for the passive tree, you kind of want this, and I also have Anointed Forthcoming as well, so the Earthquakes take less time to pop. Well, Hammer of the Gods too, but that's not really a big deal. You only use it when the enemies are stunned anyway. But you do want to reduce skill effect duration. Some skill speed, it's pretty good. Armor, of course. Damage, and AoE. Oh, this is more. I mean, this is just break, but break doesn't really matter. If you don't mind leveling 3 more levels, so you could go for this instead of these two. I do recommend taking Irreparable over here, because we only break once when we stun an enemy with Bone Shatter, so having that armor break duration longer is very nice. Other than that, it's just damage and AoE and maximum resistances, so make sure you have at least 80 uncapped fire res, so you get +4, right? And then over here I do have a controlled metamorphosis. Pretty good spot. if you want to go for this, you also can, and instead of medium ring, you just go small, medium small, and you're gonna be able to grab this. You won't be able to grab this, and this is really good, so I do recommend getting a medium one. But you will still be able to grab this, this, and this also, which could be nice as well, and this. So you lose some AoE, and you lose the projectile, which I do think is pretty good. Bunch of AoE over here as well, and for the jewel, so I have 2 cold resistance on this one. Other than that, just get whatever mods you can use. I got some shock magnitude and AoE and recover and kill. It's okay. Over here I have maximum lightning resistance and duration of ignite, shock and chill, as well as magnitude of shock. So my shocks are like 26 right now, as I've said. And yeah, that is about it. So a couple of dex nodes, not too many, just so we can, you know, use all the support gems on Hammer of the Gods, if you are opting for shock into it, of course. And yeah, this is it. So yeah, guys, this is the build. If you want to play some melee, you could give it a go. It's pretty good, you know, it doesn't feel that slow, because you can just leap slam, earthquake, and then just move on, because this one pops, and you know, you can just continue moving. It's not bad. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one, whenever that will be. Bye bye.